Okay, so I got the same beat pulled up here that I was listening to before, and we're going to talk about, or kind of give an overview of drums and percussion. So first, let's differentiate. Percussion is still made of drums a lot of the time, although it doesn't have to be. But when we refer to drums, really we're talking about a drum set or a drum kit. And then when we're talking about percussion, we're talking about other rhythmic instruments that kind of fill out the groove or complement the drums in some way. And both of these things, drums and percussion, for the most part, won't have pitch. That means they won't have notes. They're purely rhythmic. They lay down the groove of the track. So let's listen to the drums here. And the percussion. So as you can see, in this case, the percussion is kind of a metallic thing. It's like a tambourine sort of sound. And the drums encapsulate a lot of different rhythmic elements going together, and that's because they're part of a drum kit. So I want to do a brief overview of drum kits, just so we have an idea of what to listen for. Now, drum kits are made of a few kind of standard pieces, and then they can have some other things added in depending on the player, what they want. The first thing is the kick drum, which if we pull up impact here, I'm in the wrong octave. So here's my kick drum. The kick drum is the big drum you see at the bottom of a drum set. You play with your foot. Then we have a snare. We have a couple snares here. This is usually played with the left hand if you're a right-handed drummer. And these two things kind of go back and forth from one another and create the main part of the drum beat. And the snare is always kind of landing on the same beat, and then the kick might go around it. So if we listen again, I'm going to solo just the kicks and the snares and listen to that. Sorry, let's get these instruments out. So you can hear the snare is the kind of sound, and the kick is the low thud. And the snare is always in the same place. So from there, we have hi-hats, and hi-hats are the kind of metallic sound that usually keeps the rhythm. So I have a couple hi-hats here. If you listen to these. So hi-hats are usually constant like this in some way, kind of really keeping the beat, and the other elements go around it. From there, we have toms, which I don't have in this song. Toms are those drums that you see kind of higher up on the drum set, and they sound like doom, doom, doom. They have kind of a sort of a pitch to them, and they're used for drum fills and a variety of other things. And then there's cymbals, and the cymbals are used in a variety of ways, and the two main cymbals are your crash cymbal and your ride cymbal. The crashes sound like this. They kind of make a splashing, crashing sound, and usually you use that on a big impact or at the start of a beat. And then the ride cymbals, which I don't have in this song, are kind of a softer cymbal that can take the place of a hi-hat a lot of the time. Though these are the standard sounds, people often add more drums to their kit. But when we're going to be making our tracks, this is what we're concerned about really. Most importantly, kick, snare, hi-hat, then cymbals. Toms, if you're looking to do drum fills and stuff like that, are important, but mostly kick, snare, hi-hat, or it doesn't have to be a hi-hat, it can be some other cymbal or some other thing, so long as that thing is keeping the rhythm, keeping the beat like these hi-hats were, at a constant, kind of like this. So if I turn everything back on, listen, you can hear the hi-hats going constant, the kick and the snare. And right at the start of the beat, we have a cymbal crash with the crash cymbal. That kind of kicks the beat off. Now, what are the function of drums? Well, it's pretty obvious, I would say. Drums basically keep the groove. They create the groove, really, and keep the rhythm. In a real band, all the instrumentalists are listening to the drummer, and the drummer's keeping the time for the whole band. Beyond that, it's really creating groove. It's kind of telling you how to feel the music, the rhythm of the music, all kind of comes from the drum set. And then the purpose of the percussion is to enhance that groove, to bring more textures or to fill in some of the gaps that are in the drum kit's part. So if we listen to the drums and the percussion together here, I'll turn this percussion up so we can hear a little better. Without percussion, a little empty. Just fills out the groove a bit, hits on some more subdivisions within the beat, and makes a nice vibe. And the last thing I want to mention here is learning to hear drums. So when we're talking about these instruments, we want to start hearing them in music that we listen to, whether it's on the radio or iPod or computer or whatever it is. It's really important to start paying attention to what's going on there. Now that you know that drums are made of a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat, and then cymbals and toms, and there's another thing called percussion, which is different kinds of rhythmic elements, we want to listen for that in music. So next time you're hearing music, literally wherever you are, I recommend that you take a moment to stop focusing so much on the melody and really listen to what the drums are doing. Can you hear the drum beat? Can you hear when the kick hits, when the snare hits? Can you hear what the hi-hats are doing? This kind of listening is really important. And the more we get into making our own music, the more it's important to listen to music. And not just listen for fun, but listen critically in a way. Listen for exactly what's going on so we can learn from people who've gone before us and in certain ways copy what they do and then innovate and change what they've done to make our own versions of it. But it all starts with listening. Listening is really important. And specifically, in this case, listening for the drums in a song. So find yourself some music to listen to and see if you can identify those drums, kick, snare, hi-hat, hear what the patterns are, see if you can hear any percussion going on in the background or on the sides. This kind of thing is really important and I highly recommend it. So in the next video, we're going to get into
bass.